Welcome again to another episode of the 4 Degrees podcast of the Climate Risk Lab under the African Climate Development Initiative. Today, I am with a guest who is also a host. So he likes to call himself the ghost. And that's Philip.
just for today.
Just for today, we have a ghost. Philip, thank you for coming. Where were you last week?
Thank you, Precious. I was away. I was out of town.
Yeah.
It's what I like to do every now and then.
Yes, you do.
But I was at a conference in the Limpopo province, in the northwest, which is not correct. It's the northeast.
Okay.
Always mix up the two. Didn't watch enough Sesame Street growing up.
I don't want to comment. I don't know if it's northwest or northeast.
But yeah, it's all the way in the northeast, I guess, of the country. There should be probably better descriptions of where exactly. About a 6-hour drive from Johannesburg.
Ooh, did you drive?
We drove, yeah.
Wow.
I drove with our esteemed Professor Melanie Murcott, who's also one of my co-supervisors for my thesis, and another researcher from France. And
This was a good road trip.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a fun trip. We had great discussions.
So this conference that you had to go to, what was it all about? Can you explain? What was it related to climate change? What was it all about? Yeah.
It was. So it was the annual conference of the Environmental Law Association, ELA.
As the lawyer that
South
you
Africa, the lawyer that I am. Yeah. And I attended the conference last year already when it took place at Wits, University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. This time it was hosted by University of Venda.
Okay.
In Thohoyandou.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yonella would know.
Okay. Next time we'll fact check.
We'll fact check with Yonella what is the real name.
Yeah. And it was hosted by the University of Venda. And we spent a whole of 3 days for conference-specific work. The first day was a student conference, and the second 2 days, Thursday and Friday, were, if you will, the regular adult conference. I was also presenting my research, even though I'm a student. But I think it was sort of a mix. The first day was more geared to undergrad or bachelor honors students, and the next couple of days more like more senior students or actual practitioners. So it was a great mix. And then on Saturday, we went on a little excursion. We actually had a couple of excursions throughout the whole week.
Yes, take off the norm of we just sit in a conference. Now you go for an excursion. They call them what? Workshops?
Workshops?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember someone from the Collins, the Climate Risk Lab. They did that in
Slovakia.
In Slovakia. They did a workshop where you go hike, and then when you're hiking, you're talking about the research and stuff. Yeah. Was it more like that? Or it was more like to get to understand?
Yeah, so the Saturday excursion was, so we drove to Kruger through the northern gate. Yeah. So I guess this was because it was just after the conference. It was a weekend day. Yeah. So it was very much recreational in a way. So I guess we took a bus, no AC, a school bus type of situation.
Take you back to the old days.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It would have been, for me personally, it was my first time at Kruger. I was very excited.
Oh, really? I've never been to Kruger as well.
So first time seeing buffaloes, elephants, giraffes, and all sorts of
This must have been fun.
other animals, like in their like, I guess, proper habitat.
Yeah.
Their zoos.
But it was fun, hey?
It was amazing. It was very dry, and we spoke about this a lot. It was very dry, like almost parched. It looked like like an agricultural, like a wheat field.
Oh, that's more of like savannah.
It was just like straw, basically dry straw. there were some patches of water along the way, and this is where like the larger animals, of course, then like dwell in shade.
Did you have someone take you through the Kruger National Park?
Not really, no.
Yeah, because I would have been interested to know how it was. Is it the norm that is after winter, and in Limpopo they have a dry winter?
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a dry winter. It's like similar to Zimbabwe winters, which is dry and cold.
Yeah.
And then they have wet winters, which means it's probably going to be green in December or January, February, March.
Yeah.
So it would have been interesting.
Yeah. So we spoke about that a lot, and there were some people on the bus who said it should have been wetter already at this time of the year. I was doubting it, the way that I always doubt things.
Like until I see someone who wrote about it and was there.
And I actually just double checked, and it turns out that let me actually pull this up. Yeah. We just learned that it's fine to fact check.
It's fine. It's fine to fact check. That's being normal.
And I learned that actually there's as you said, a hot, humid and dry, hot and humid summer from December to February. But currently we would be in spring, September to November, and it says that AI summary that Google now offers says a dry and warming period leading into the summer rains. Yeah. And winter until August is mild with dry conditions and minimal rain. So that's where we're coming from. So spring really doesn't indicate that it would be raining already. Yeah. That's what I assumed as well.
It wouldn't be a Cape Town spring where you see everything blooming and it's green because we're coming from a wet winter.
Exactly.
So it would be dry-ish.
Yeah. And I thought about it as well, walking over here.
Yeah.
Like over to the studio, walking from that side, because we did have climate science as part of our masters.
Yes, we did.
And that could be my fun fact, if you will, of the week.
Please.
I'm going to ask you, Precious, why do you think there's summer rainfall in that specific part of the country? As compared to Cape Town, with like rainy winters and a winter rainfall season.
Putting me on the spot. Now, you see, if Mark is going to watch this, our lecturer for climate science, I'm sorry. I'm actually really sorry. Because maybe I did listen, and of course I passed the module because I read about it. I did. I did pass the module. But it's more of I want to use the right language, the circulation patterns that are close to that area. So the Western Cape is on the Indian Ocean. Is on the other ocean.
The other one.
The other one. So they get, I know that in Limpopo, they get what are called intertropical rains. So they get the tropical rains, and then here they get the rains that are mostly pushed by the ocean currents that are on this side. So it's more of same country, but different areas, like different sides that influence the rain that you get to receive. So the reason why I think I'm more confident to talk about the Limpopo one is because I know that they have a similar Johannesburg, Limpopo, Zimbabwe, they have a somewhat similar climate where they have, because they also get the same influence from the tropical convergence zone.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I think we're pretty much there. So I also we're like walking up the steps.
Yeah.
To come here, Sarah Bartman steps. I thought about it, and I think that's exactly it, right? So because we'll see the impact of the intercontinental convergence zone in the summers when the sun will slowly be at its peak. Therefore, the country receives, or the land receives more radiation. It'll heat up more. You'll have that upwelling of hot and humid air that will then like basically eventually rain down through like heavier downpours and thunderstorms on a regular basis. So that happens less than in the winter months.
Which must have been interesting for you also to get to, you experienced both, like both sides of the climate in the same country. And you get there. A lot of people say when they go to Joburg, the air is dry. Was it the same for you?
Yeah, it always catches me. Yeah, no, 100%. Like you don't feel it immediately, but like I feel like after a day, like your lips become dry.
Yeah,
like your nose is
like pressure's different.
Yeah.
Okay. I usually think sometimes we are being dramatic. I do feel it when I go home. When I go to Zimbabwe, I do feel it. I'm like, the air here is a bit dry. It's not moist. Like it's just. When I go back, I go like, yeah, I do feel it. But yeah, I used to go like sometimes. Some people actually get to have like sinuses problems because of that change, which is
what's the elevation of Harare? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Is that where you're from?
Yes. I'm from there. I'm from a small town that is close to Harare. Okay. So I'm not from Harare. I would, if I'm in Zim.
Then how would you know?
Yeah. How would I know?
How would you know?
Okay, back to this conference that you were at. So the University of Venda obviously hosted this event.
Yes.
But who was facilitating this event? It's an annual event, you said.
It's an annual event, exactly. That's it's the annual event by for the Environmental Law Association of South Africa. So it's an organization of, I believe, about 300 legal practitioners.
Yeah.
They don't all have to be like practicing lawyers in like private practice.
Yeah.
Some work have their own small law firms, oftentimes focused specifically on environmental or climate litigation.
Yeah.
Others work in the NGO space, in larger corporates as well, or larger law firms. That is, it's very, very much open to any lawyer who's interested in environmental work. It's agnostic. It's if you will, a legal industry association. I think a lot of the members have a specific vocation towards protecting the environment.
Yeah.
But of course, that doesn't mean, that you'll have to do NGO work, not for profit work, entirely or exclusively.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it was a wonderful mix of people, a lot of academics too, of course. So we've like throughout the entire week, we've had great conversations, had so many amazing presentations on matters that I had never been exposed to.
Yeah. Speaking of these conversations.
Amazing. Yes.
Just pick one conversation. You would say this was like the highlight of my conference. Obviously, you would have a lot because this was 3 days. It's like there's a lot of days of listening. You can fact check that. But how
much was I actually listening? Let me look.
What was one that stuck with you? It could be based off of your experience, or it could be based off of, this is new, or it could be, this is interesting, or this is exactly why I'm looking at climate law and biodiversity and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, great question, Precious. I actually still have to do some like internal debriefing, if you will, like go through all the presentations and my notes and the individuals who were like holding those presentations and asking really, really interesting questions. I think a couple of items stood out, and I'm just pulling up my phone because it's a term that's, for me at least, difficult to remember. There's an initiative of I believe the national and the provincial government called the Musina Makhado Special Economic Zone in Limpopo, bordering Zimbabwe. And it's a special economic zone that designates about 600 square kilometers. And it's supposed to be used for a large-scale smelter to improve South African iron and iron production.
Interesting.
And to that purpose, that whole swath of land will have to be developed, including infrastructure to carry coal, of course, to that smelter, refineries, again, infrastructure, road infrastructure, infrastructure for trains, at a very large scale. On that land, there are hundreds of baobabs, which are sacred trees in Venda, that, according to plans currently, would be relocated. Which, if you've ever seen a baobab,
I have.
There's a massive tree.
How do you uproot a baobab tree?
Yeah, I personally
let alone
don't know.
Hundreds of them.
Yes, and how do you? I mean, there's so many questions associated with that, and
this is interesting.
And those are just logistic questions. Haven't even looked at what that means for local biodiversity.
Yeah, what does it mean? Yeah,
to extract one specific species and move it somewhere else, and that also doesn't take into account the fact that there's a spiritual component to the baobab trees, but also the land affected. And there's currently a public participation process going on with regard to the development of that zone. And a number of participants of the conference are actively engaging in that public participation and preparing litigation as well already at this point to try to block that development. Because it feels very backward looking. It's very heavily coal dependent. It might jeopardize the NDC goals of South Africa.
Because now
NDCs, I think we've briefly touched it. So then the national determined contributions that are an obligation under the Paris Agreement and aim for really ambitious mitigation and adaptation goals. So adding or increasing coal exploration using coal to fire power plants, etc. It just doesn't seem the right way forward, especially with carbon capture not at a point yet where it could be deployed economically, and most likely wouldn't be here anyways. So
there's a lot.
This is a big issue, and part of this initiative was led by local indigenous leaders in Venda, who also presented at the conference. So it was amazing to see that degree of engagement, and I think that's very important, and it really stuck. Stuck.
It's important to really include the people that will be affected in those conferences, and also for them to really understand what resources as well could we get from them, and what resources could they get from the other people who are not like the researchers, for example, the lawyers. Because I'm thinking in the context of this iron smelter or this core fire plant or whatever that wants to be made there is probably going to be very carbon intensive, and that will go against, again, I didn't want to really dive into it, but that ICJ, the International Court of Justice advisory opinion that they put out, that a country is obliged. This is like, we're advising you that you're obliged to actually protect your people and your environment from harm, from environmental harm, from emissions, from greenhouse emissions. And then you have this backward thinking that you're talking about, that we then say, okay, let's build this plant. Let's remove all these baobabs. And I feel like it's a really great talk that was had there, I would say, because then lawyers, you will come in and then you say, actually, we can do this. We can go against this. We can take this to court and say, the ICJ, you have the NDCs, the national determined contributions that you said you're going to do. And if we say ambitious, this doesn't seem like it's ambitious, and it also doesn't feel like you're doing this in good faith.
Yeah, no, 100%. And also that's a very good point. Like, what about good faith in that context? Who's actually making those decisions leading to that. Like working in the legal sector, especially in the environmental climate side.
Yeah.
Like I keep asking myself the question, why does it have to be so defensive all the time? Why is environmental law so often reliant on litigation? How can this if to like anyone really, this development doesn't look sane?
Yeah.
So who made that decision? It is it's harmful to the environment. It violates indigenous people's rights, human rights, public health, most likely, powering this ginormous smelter.
Yep.
There'll be so much pollution. And especially in the Limpopo province, there's been a history of environmental and public health related racism.
Yeah.
So who made this decision, and why is it now the lawyers and the local communities
have to get in?
will have to try to hopefully, and I'm going to say like get things right. Like that's just our opinion. But so where's who makes this trade-off to say it is still the better decision politically to build this economic zone when it really doesn't sound to make sense. So where's the drive?
Keyword economic. And I think that's the drive. We did talk about it in sustainable development, where we talked about, you see, this development was given this this connotation that if it's development, it's industrial, it's building another coal fire plant, and then it has
economic,
to be
like
it's economic. It's
development has so many notions, but we really only use it in an economic sense, right?
Exactly. How did people sit down and then think economic, like this is an economic development, and then not think of, if we're going to develop this place for it to be better for this community, maybe what they need is probably, I don't know, solar powered stations that could coexist with the baobab trees.
Yeah,
because they don't have like big leaves, so they're not going to bring shade. And usually it's not like one is next to the other and then the next to the other. It's usually like one is here and then the other is like a few meters or even more than 50 meters away from the other one.
Yeah.
They don't usually are very, very close to each other because they're big trees, which means they could coexist with like a solar power plant, I would say, or like solar panels that can be put out to, if we need to actually electrify that part, if it's not already electrified. I mean, this is all just ideas that come up because I'm thinking the development was only based off of what will bring money quick.
Yeah, and to whom? I guess, you don't have to go there now. But it's a very important questions to think about. Like, what do we, what do we want to develop? We saying, like, let's say government here, and to which purpose and for whom? Right? I guess like almost every other option sounds more viable, more sustainable, more justifiable, taking into account all the risks and potential co-benefits. So,
okay, so
period.
I'm guessing that this conference had people that are legal practitioners, like you said. Did it also have, and you also mentioned that there were local people there. So what does it mean? Would anyone, I would say, be able to, what would an average person, like Precious, what would I get to learn from this conference? How do I get, that information based off of that this happened? And there were, I would say, a number of people that were there. And then they go to their different places. Are they going to be telling other people about it? Or does it mean that the next year it will be more numbers? What does it mean for the average person? Am I invited there? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fair.
So I guess firstly it was like an internal meeting, so to speak, for organized by that association.
Yeah.
But clearly it was open at the University of Venda, to whoever was interested in attending some of those items, and the ELA, the association, made sure that anyone from the local community also is involved in the work around that zone. Can attend both the conference and excursions if they wanted or had capacity and time. What the takeaways are? It's a very, very good question. I asked the question a couple of times for participants after their presentations about like how whatever they presented, and like I keep asking myself the question for my research too. What does it mean in practice? Right? I guess that's what we as I'm going to say climate scientists, climate change specialists always think about. It's like what does it mean? What does it mean? How can we actually drive real life tangible change through the work that we do? And I think it wasn't always entirely clear. So it was a specialized conference. I guess even I didn't follow everything. I'm also an onlooker in one way or another because I'm German educated. I don't have in-depth knowledge of South African law in a lot of aspects, even though I'm focusing on environmental law in my thesis here. I do think there's maybe some opportunity to proliferate the work a bit more that the ELA is doing and what individual members of the ELA are doing.
And it's one of the reasons why when we're having this podcast and we're talking about these things, someone will get to understand what the ELA is and then go look it up, or
do look it up.
Please do look it up. And then, you get to know your environmental rights. Like you get to know a lot of things about an area that you're not in, or an area that can actually help you in your area. For example, I'm always thinking, what does it mean for climate and health? Because obviously I can be in my silo and then I'm always doing climate health attribution, but then what does it mean for policy? What does it mean for the next person? What does it mean for someone who actually knows that there was an industry that was like, 5 kilometers away from me. And every time I started staying here, I'm having these health issues and stuff like that, like these respiratory issues, which is like pollution related. But then, you start understanding like how we get to understand that if I go to Joburg, the air is going to be dry. Like I already know. It's like that informed knowledge.
Which is not only a pollution issue.
Which is not only a pollution thing, please get that right. But it's more of that knowledge. You get certain knowledge from finding out about things from people like you get on this podcast, and then you talk about law, which I am not very experienced in.
Yet.
I'm not experienced in yet.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think there's more that I guess we can do as lawyers in the South African context to proliferate that knowledge on individual rights and how to exercise them, what to do with it. And of course, there's always a barrier, and that's what we really struggle with as lawyers in that space, is that litigation is lengthy and expensive and requires expertise that you usually don't have. I mean, even I. If I were to litigate an environmental matter, I would probably need specialist counsel to advise me on this. I'm a lawyer. I could probably do it without help, but it would take me a long time. And imagine now someone who's never been exposed to to really like a legal professional, and who may have traditionally had bad experiences with government, with third parties who charge money for something. So it's there's a lot of vulnerability that we also have to deal with. And how do we bridge that gap and actually make it easier for people to exercise their rights? I think that's extremely important, because the rights are, as you said, they exist.
But
the South African Constitution is one of the most modern constitutions globally. There's a right to a healthy environment, and it's a right that extends to your personal health, which means like you have a right to a healthy environment so that it doesn't harm you personally. But it's also an objective right. Like every South African has a right to a healthy environment in its own right. So you have a right to conservation. I always get this wrong. To conservation. And to a healthy environment, healthy ecosystems for their sake. You can basically, at the end of the day, that's what an individual right is. You can walk up to the government and claim it. Say, protect my environment.
Please.
That's amazing.
Please protect my environment. Yeah. I really did enjoy this conversation with you. And I think to close it off, or before we close it off, I have two questions for you. I want you to tell me one.
Okay.
Interesting people that you met there, that you're obviously going to stay in touch. Stay in touch with.
Absolutely.
And then the second thing, what would you say to me about this conference if you meet me and then I'm like, tell me something that I should know. Tell me something I should know. And then you just met me and I'm like, tell me something I should know about this conference. Like you have one line to tell me something I should know. Because I think that we're in a generation where if you don't get me there, if you don't get me in the first minute, either I'm swiping up or
next.
So interesting person or people that you met there. You've already mentioned the local leaders.
Virtually anyone that had something to share, and I was able to learn. This is why I was there, from literally every attendant. And of course, having the local leaders and a chief of the community involved was an absolutely unique and special experience. And it shows us how much how important intersectional dialogue is. Right? I keep thinking about that, specifically since I've been here. There's a multitude of different legal systems in this country that work well together sometimes, but mostly it's dominated by honestly speaking, a Western imposed. It's almost like a colonial structure of the rule of law that exists in South Africa, and we as individuals living in South Africa consider that as the holy grail of the legal framework, common law plus some statutory legal aspects. It's different in Germany, where the statutory law has a much different history. So intersectional dialogue is incredibly important. Because that really only lays the base ground, the basis for reform. Takeaways. Again, I think this
30 seconds to catch me out as I'm swiping up.
I mean, we've been here for 30 minutes. So
no pressure.
What you have learned? The law can be extremely powerful. A powerful tool. And we see, as you also mentioned, the ICJ. A lot of things are moving globally, and there will be, going forward, more accountability of governments when it comes to climate change obligations and the protection of the environment for its own sake, but also for safety and health of people living in those countries.
Yeah.
So watch the space. And lawyers are really trying hard to make it more, to make the law more digestible as well.
Thank you for your service. Thank you so much for your service, guys. Thank you so much, Philip. I should say this again.
Thank you, Precious. Great questions. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was really interested to know what this conference was about, and to also get to learn about a lot of things that we, as the hosts, can get to bring to everyone who watches this. And to just close it off, I just want to say that we are going to be putting more episodes every other week. So definitely watch the space, like he said. And from what he said, the law can be powerful. And yeah, you can start wherever you are. And then the next thing you know, it's in the ICJ as an advisory opinion. So yeah, exactly. I hope we'll see you again next week. Catch up with you. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks.